I grew up in the Hudson River Valley of New York State. Beautiful place, lots of woods around me, and I never really thought very much about nature. Nature was just the place we went to play, boy games, I guess, army and fort and Indians and all those culturally inappropriate things that you wouldn't be allowed to play today. But I jumped from rock to rock and loved going into streams and having a great time. But a big part of my life when I was growing up were my dogs. We always had dogs. We always had two dogs because one had to keep the other company, right? One was so much fun, two's twice the fun. Well, not so much sometimes, but that's the way it goes. One would pass on, get another dog, and it would go like that for all of my life growing up. And it's actually been that way for Francis and our lives as well with our dogs. We've always had dogs. We've had cats too, and fish and bunnies and gerbils and all of those things, but dogs especially. I think that's because dogs remind me of who I am really at heart, who I want to be. You've seen the t-shirt, be the person your dog thinks you are, right? Remember that? I think it's very important that we do that. I also think that dogs and other animals in our lives remind us of what is really important in the world. And right now, as we're looking out at the world in which we live, I mean, it's just exhausting. Every headline is more exhausting than the last. And I know we're slipping into this despotism in this time when everything is so dark. But animals don't really care about that, do they? No, they don't care about that. Really what they care about is love and getting fed and walks and things like that and having their litter box cleaned out. That's what animals care about. Because as some others have said over the years that I've been working with animals and talking about animals and blessing animals, they straddle this place between thriving and surviving. Obviously, the first thing you want to do when you're an animal, you're a human being, is you want to survive. But animals, when they are cared for, generally will also thrive. And therefore, they teach you to thrive. And they teach you what is important in life. And they don't care about passports or papers or votes or politics or even jobs. They just are really glad to be in your life. And that's an important message, especially now. Elephants, they say, always remember, right? You've heard that phrase, elephants remember. And the studies they've done emotionally with elephants and other animals now show that they all have emotions, just like we do. And it was a terrible thing in Western culture for so long that animals were thought to be just, automata. They were just machines, they didn't feel anything. Well, of course they feel something. Not only do they feel pain, but they feel emotions. Elephants actually weep. This has been shown in studies that have been done. And animals laugh, and animals have emotions of fear and hope. Dolphins laugh. They're known for laughing. That chatter they do is they jump up and around. I always thought that was important. And dogs, as well as cats, well, cats, of course, they'll tell you what they need, and you'll do it because that's the way cats are. Dogs may be the other way around. Temple Grandin, who is both autistic and also a researcher in animal behavior, has done much in the last 30 years to help animals who are in livestock situations be handled more compassionately than what they've been doing. And she has this wonderful way of understanding how to build things in a way that do not scare the animals. She said that animals help us make meaning from sometimes competing desires and fears. The fear of not having enough and the desire for something more. And the curiosity that animals often have that implores us to also be curious, because that's important. There is this important dance between what we have and what we don't have, and what we can do and what we can't do. And animals remind us that we need to do what we can do. As it was mentioned, Jane Goodall died this week, and a pioneer in so many ways, but the one thing that she did that I think was important was she said that no matter who we are as human beings, or she studied chimpanzees or other animals, there's always a little place for hope in your life. Optimism means that everything is going to turn out just fine when we know it's not. And pessimism means everything's not going to turn out right, and that's also not true. But hope is the place where there's a chance for a choice between what could happen and what is happening. And it's the could happen that I think the animals remind me of. Because, you know, I can be having a really crummy day, and I've had some crummy days over this summer. There's nothing quite like a dog jumping in your lap, even a big dog jumping in your lap who thinks they're a lap dog, and going, ho, 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 what's the matter with you? What are you so blue about? Because they remind you of that, they give you hope. And when hope is hard to find, that's really the most important thing in our lives. So friends, cherish the animals around us here today or whether they're elsewhere in your life. And if you're not an animal person, that's fine. Find somebody else who is an animal person. There's a lot of animals to love out there. And I'll just make a pitch. For if you've been thinking about getting an animal, thinking about getting a pet, go to your local shelter. There are so many animals who need love there. It's heartbreaking to know that they don't all make it. Let's try to spread that love out a little bit more, especially now. Blessings be.